Kia ora. Welcome along to my podcast. This is the Rebecca Ann Knits Knitting Podcast, my little corner of the internet where I like to chat about all my knitting projects. I'm Bex. Welcome if you're new and welcome back if you're returning. It's been a while since I put out a regular episode, but I'm here today to share with you what I've finished so far in 2025 and what I am working on currently. So sit back and relax and join me while we chat about some knitting. For those of you who are new, like I said, my name is Bex. I am a mum and wife and midwife and knitter from Upper Hutt in Wellington, New Zealand. And I've been knitting for the majority of my life, but like seriously and kind of as a, serious knitter, I guess, since about 2020. I've been making this podcast for just over a year. I've been a bit sporadic recently. I just recently graduated as a midwife after 4 years of retraining and started my new job at the local hospital. So things have been a bit tricky this year. Just trying to get into a rhythm, which is relatively difficult when you do shift work. But I had the opportunity today to record, so here I am. I have recorded my Everything I Knit in 2024 video so far this year, along with an episode all about my far too many whips and an episode about plans that I have for using my stash in 2025. So if you're interested in any of those, feel free to go back and look at those. I've released all of those sort of over the summer while I was in between finishing my study and starting my new job. I've been at my new job for about 6 weeks now, and so just settling in and finding where the pockets are that I get to knit in my daily life now and where I can have an opportunity to film. So let's get into it. Because I haven't filmed a proper sit-down episode at all this year, I have 18 finished objects to share with you. Mostly small items, don't get too excited. And I am down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 whips, which is a lot better than it was. So let's get started, shall we? One of my first finished objects, which is what I am wearing, is my Go-Go Dynamo shawl. I've been working on this since last October when the West Knits Make Along was launched. I'm just going to move my microphone so I can show you a bit better. I have been working on this on and off in the background, and it's been a bit of a love-hate. I love the colours. I hate the extremely long rows. And it's just quite time consuming knitting a fingering weight shawl. I had no business casting it on when I did. I had way too many things in my needles at the time already, and so it was a bit wild. I have finished it smaller and differently than in the original pattern. So I did all the way through clue 1 and clue 2 and clue 3. So you make these semicircles with wedges in between, and then the bobbles. I did not do brioche because brioche and me are not friends, but I did these eyelets rows with a mohair deer, and then I did the wedges at the bottom. I did not add the feather and fan bottom border, and I did not actually add the 4th clue, which is the top part, because I started it. I got about a third of the way through it and I hated how it looked. So I ditched that idea and actually undid it and just did an I-cord instead. It has all I-cord finishes surrounding, so I just did I-cord across the top in my main colour and left it at that. So it is now a very long, skinny scarf, more than a shawl. But it's really fun, and I can wear it like a cowl, like I just was, or just kind of thrown over my shoulders. There's one end that I missed. I thought I had sewn them all in. Oh, gutted. There's one end that I have missed. But yeah, I do really like the finished object. I really like how graphic it is. I really love these colours. the slaty blue is called Quarry Ridge, and that's a merino sock yarn from Skeins. They have since discontinued that line and started a new sock yarn line, but the colorway is called Quarry Ridge. And then the pink is also a Skeins yarn that is their Pearl Luster, which is a alpaca and merino yarn. And then the eyelets are in Brushed Alpaca by Mama Wooling, which is some leftovers from my original Lento. Yeah, I really like it. It's really cool, and you know what? It's just a massive relief to have it off the needles, to be honest, because it was taking up mental space and knitting bags, storage space, and I just always had it on my mind that I need to finish that shawl. I need to finish that shawl. And now it is done. Differently, but done. And I'm really happy with it, and I think I will get some good wear out of it this autumn and winter. Because it's just such fun colours and it's so graphic, and if I wear it just with a plain outfit, I think it's going to be a really cool pop. I don't think I'll be doing the wristlets and making long again this year. I just find it's a bit too much pressure and it's a bit too full on. Yeah. As much as I'm proud of what I've knit and enjoy it, being part of the hype of it all, I'm not sure I love it enough to do it again. Not right now anyway, but we'll see. October's a while away. You never know. Anyway, that's my first finished object. I've been doing a lot of gift knitting in the first part of this year. So I have quite a lot of socks to share with you, and quite a few baby knits, and just 2 adult size garments. The first one that I'll share with you is my Kintra. This was a test knit that I did for Rebecca of the Crayabea, and she released this in February. It is a round yoke 1x1 colour work sweater. It comes in DK weight and fingering weight or 4-ply gauges. I did mine as a t-shirt because it was summertime here in New Zealand. So mine has short sleeves, but the pattern does come with long sleeve instructions. And mine is not quite as it should be. I knit mine in Miro Yarns Alpaca Linen Silk Blend in 4 different shades. So this design is put together so you can use a minimum of 3 colours and a maximum of 24 colours. So if you wanted to use a mini skein advent through this yoke, you could. I just have 4 colours, so you can see there's that pale pink that is the base colour, and then a dusky pink, a purpley pink, and a brighter pink. And they're all the same base from Miro Yarns. I did actually buy on a D-stash, and I finished this and wore it once on holiday to the beach, and somehow it ended up in the wash when we got home from holiday and got washed and dried with all the other clothes. So I wouldn't say it felted, but it definitely shrunk. So it is now a wee bit small and very, very cropped. I'll try and find the photo. I didn't even model photos before I went away, because I finished it on Christmas Day and we went away on the 27th. And so I didn't get a chance. I took it away with me so that I could hopefully get some nice modelled photos at the beach, but that didn't happen. And then it got felted as well. It got washed as soon as we got home. So you'll see that the fabric is quite dense. Where it was quite a loose, airy gauge to begin with, it is now quite a dense fabric, and it's actually a lovely fabric. It's just that now the yoke is a bit small and the body is very cropped. So I've still been able to wear it like over a dress or a really high-waisted skirt, but it doesn't sit quite right over the shoulders because it's not the size that it was supposed to be. So that's a bit disappointing, but I do still really love it. It is still really beautiful, and I will still wear it despite it not fitting the best that it could. I did the fingering weight version, in that kind of summer yarn blend, because it was over the summer period that I was knitting this. So I thought that's a good opportunity. And again, with the short sleeves. So I literally just added the rib after the cast off for the yoke. I didn't add any other further length to make that sleeve. And I incorporated the main colour throughout the yoke as well, just so it was a little bit more blendy rather than a distinct yoke with a different main colour. But this is a beautiful pattern. It is out now by Rebecca Close, so feel free to grab a copy. I will definitely be making a DK weight one in the future. I did find it a little bit slow going just because fingering weight garments take a bit more time. But the yoke, one by one colour work in the yoke is so Moorish. It just makes you want to keep knitting. It was really, really fun, and it was beautiful seeing how the colours came together. And I can totally imagine if you used a Advent or a whole pile of mini skeins, just seeing how the next colour comes and how it blends would be absolutely beautiful and really, really fun. So that is my Kintra. The only other garment that I have knit, full adult size garment I've knit so far this year, is also a Rebecca Glow pattern. It's the Nix sweater. I modified this a bit, but I made it for my little sister for her birthday. And I'll pop some photos in because I've since gifted it to her. Her birthday was the beginning of February. And I modified this because I worked it off gauge. So it's a 20 stitch gauge, but I really wanted to use this particular yarn that she chose from my stash. And it's more of a worsted Aran weight yarn, so maybe around 10 ply. It was 180 meters to 100 grams. It's a woolen spun yarn. It's called Kelly & Co. It's also produced by Skeins. And yeah, so she really wanted that yarn and that design. So I worked off gauge. I worked at more like a 16 stitch gauge rather than 20. So I went down a couple of sizes and did some modifications. I missed off the bottom layer of colour work, the last chevron, to make it fit the sizing. And as it was still a little bit large, but large is better than too small, in my opinion. And it will probably get put in the washing machine and therefore shrink slightly in the future as well. It is a hand wash yarn, but I have a feeling that it will get put in the washing machine on a wool cycle and it may end up a little bit smaller. So I wanted it to have positive ease for her anyway. So yeah, that's the Nix sweater. I really enjoyed knitting it. Kelly & Co is a beautiful yarn to knit up, and I had a lot of fun knitting this. It went really quick because it was just really enjoyable. The sleeves I modified slightly too because my sister asked for positive ease in the sleeves, so they are quite large. But yeah, it was a really fun knit, and I have ideas of the Nix comes with just the colourwork yoke or a full colourwork sweater, and I have some yarn in my stash that I'd be very interested in knitting, like a low contrast, like tonal all over colourwork Nix, and so that might come sometime in the future. So that's my full size garments. I finished obviously the shawl, which I've already talked about. I finished some other shawls as well. If you're watching my previous episodes or my all my whips episode, I talked about some little shawlettes that I've been working on that have been in the background for most of last year. This one I cast on New Year's Eve 2023-24. I was calling it my besties shawl because my friend and I both cast one on in different colorways. And then we cast them on together at New Year's and promptly put them on the back burner and didn't touch them for the rest of the year. But I finished this one while I was away camping over the summer. Finished it. I was trying to finish it on New Year's Eve, but it got done on New Year's Day because our plans changed and I had a lot less knitting time than I had originally thought I would that day. Sorry, I'm going to end up knocking that microphone. If the sound is hideous, please forgive me. As you can see, I obviously like hot pink and slate grey because I now have two shawls in these colorways completely accidentally. This is a whole host of different yarns that I cannot remember on the top of my head. But if you have a look on my Ravelry project page, you will find most of the yarns there. I do know that a lot of these, I know the darkest one here and the blue-grey came from Diana at the Cabana Diana. And my friend Helen brought those for me as a gift. And it's a single ply merino silk blend. And then this palest one and the hot pink one are 100% silk mini skeins that came as part of my mini skein subscription that I had with Dreamfire Yarns last year. And this mid pink in the middle here was a 50-50 silk merino that I brought on a D-stash. And it was hand dyed, but I cannot tell you who hand dyed it. I do not remember. But yeah, I really love the like kind of gradient through, and this shawl pattern is called I do not remember. Is it in my notes from previously? I didn't write notes about all my whips episode, so probably not, because I haven't really been working on it. I don't remember what it is called. But anyway, it will be on my Ravelry project page. Sorry guys, I'm a little unprepared here. It's really beautiful. I haven't really worn it much yet. I did cast it off a bit too tight. The blue at the bottom here is the cast off edge. But it's not the cast off edge that's too tight, is it? That's the cast off edge, and that's actually fine. It's this edge where I changed colours that's a bit taut. No, it is the cast off edge. Look, it is the cast off edge. So I really should go back and redo this cast off, because it is pulling it a bit of a funny shape. But once you wear it wrapped like a shawl, you don't really notice. So I'm a bit lazy and probably not going to. Yeah, but that's a really cute little scarflet, and my friend Helen has almost finished hers as well. She has sent me some photos of how hers is coming along, so I will try and put in a picture so you can see the gradient that she chose to do. And again, she had two yarns that we bought together. Well, she bought and gifted to me that silk merino single ply, and then we rummaged in our stashes between the two of us to find a couple of other mini skeins that would make it into a gradient. Then we have, this is my knit-worthy birthday shawl. So I cast this on my birthday last year, which is early June, and I finished this shawl over the summer as well. This yarn is called Knitworthy. It is a single ply merino silk by Mama Wooling. And Helen brought this for me for my birthday gift. And I used the leftovers from this shawl, this blue-grey, to do the edge work here. So actually I don't think I have any left. I don't have any left. That's right, I used the last of it to do the tassels. So I can't even go and recast this off even if I wanted to. Anyway, so you can see that I've been on a bit of a slate dark blue kick. But this is another beautiful shawl. This was called Spring Fling or something like that. It's a free pattern from Ravelry. It's a garter stitch shawl with this cute border and tassels. Yeah, is it a crochet border? It's a crochet border. It's a single crochet border. I'm pretty sure in the pattern you're actually supposed to pick up all the way around the shawl and then bind off. And I was like, that's a lot of work. Well, why don't I just crochet it? So I did. I just did a single crochet all the way around instead. And it gives you basically the same look. But it was a lot quicker and easier. I don't mind picking up stitches, but I hate binding off. Binding off is one of my least favourite parts about knitting. So this was much more fun for me. And I'm really happy with the result. Haven't really worn it yet because it's been too summery, too hot to really wear much in the way of accessories, wool accessories, but I'm hoping that now it is cooling down for autumn that I will be able to bring this one out because it is really beautiful. I didn't know I was such a shawl knitter until now, but I do have one more shawl, and this was also a test knit for Rebecca of the Cray Bear. This is her, excuse me, Torrin shawl. This is just going to keep bugging me, isn't it? I haven't put it on well this time. It's just going to keep falling because I haven't tied it or anything. Where is it? Here we go. Here is my Torrin shawlette. This is just been released last weekend. This is a scarflet, I think she's calling it, with a beautiful dip stitch design. So you knit it from point to point with increasing up and then decreasing down. It's got this nice rounded point, and your dip stitches create these beautiful either diamonds or X's depending on how you look at it. It's a really beautiful, it's a really squishy, satisfying stitch to knit. It took me a few attempts to get going on it. Not because it was difficult, just because my brain couldn't understand her instructions very well. But we did a lot of work on the pattern through the test knit, and it's now a really great, well-explained pattern. You can see from the back side here that it has a background knit, like 2x2 rib almost, background that alternates between knit 2 purl 2, and then it's the opposite on the row below, and then your dips go in between those sections. So it's really beautiful. So you end up with kind of like, yeah, it's hard to explain, but it's really beautiful, really squishy. Mine's turned it out quite small. I made the largest size stitch count, but the dimensions are definitely smaller than what it says it should be in the pattern. I haven't really blocked it aggressively. I just wet it and laid it flat, so I might try really stretching it out and getting a bit more size to it. I also used mohair for mine, and so mohair tends to have quite a bit of structure and grip and not as much drape, so it may just be that's making it not kind of stretch out and be so large. In Rebecca's sample, you see you have 4 dips each go into one of these stitches, and so you end up with these holes, and mine really hasn't blocked out to make the whole show. So I might give it another block and see if I can do a better job of that. Here's these beautiful I-cord finishes along the edges. That's just built in. You don't have to do any finishing afterwards, and you just increase every 4th row and then decrease every 4th row, so it's not too hard to keep track of it all. I made myself a little sort of shorthand cheat sheet because it was a bit confusing to get started on this pattern. She charted what she could, but the dip stitches can't really be charted, and so then she wrote out all the instructions for the first sort of like 20 rows and the repeat, and it's quite wordy to kind of when you read it all through, and I kept getting lost, and so I wrote my own cheat sheet with the stitch repeat that was just like real simplified language. It was like dip on this row or like increase and then reverse the knit and purl. Anyway, if you want to have a look at that, if you're interested in knitting this, I put the screenshot of my cheat sheet in the photos that is in my Ravelry project page for this. So have a look at that if you're interested in knitting this. I highly recommend it. It does take a bit of patience to get started, but it is such a fun stitch to knit once you get going. I would absolutely knit it again, just not straight away. I haven't talked about the yarn except for that I used some mohair. So I used a single skein of Hedgehog Fibres skinny singles. So for the larger size, it's written for 400 meters of it's DK weight, but like a special skein, like 2 skeins of DK or 1 with fingering and mohair, each, and the smaller size uses just a single skein of DK, so more like 200 meters. So I used a single skein of Hedgehog Fiber Skinny Singles in the colorway Cereal, which was one of those special skeins in my stash that I had brought on a D-stash because I can't normally afford the price that Hedgehog Fibers goes for here in New Zealand. And I held it with 2 really fine strands of mohair from cones that I have, a sort of creamy white and a really soft pink, and it just gave it this kind of like pink tinge, which is really beautiful. I can put the photo in of the skein and the 2 cones of yarn that I took at the start, and you'll see that actually the mohair is really swayed this. It's a lot, the Hedgehog Fibers was a lot more creamy yellow, whereas this looks a really soft, pretty pinky beige. I love it. I'm talking way too much about each thing. This is going to take forever to get through 18 finished objects if I don't hurry up. I'll try to tone it down a bit. Where are we up to? Lost my page on my notes now. That's all the scarves. Torrin, birthday, besties, Kintra. Oh, I did make one other garment, but it's not a sweater, it's a singlet top. It's a tank top. I made this one, which had been on my needle also for quite a while. I finished this while we were driving and traveling around this summer. This is just a basic camisole top, and hot pink actually would look great with this. And I'll put the name of the pattern, all the details are on my Ravelry project page. It's quite cropped. This was a single skein project. I had a single skein of Dark Harbour yarns, her single ply merino silk. It's 30% merino, 30% silk, 70% merino, single ply. And I've just made this beautiful little singlet top with it. My intention is I also have a single skein of Dark Harbour yarns mohair called So Pink or something like that. It's a very similar shade to this, maybe slightly more neon, and I plan to make a single strand of mohair ranunculus to wear over this, like short sleeved, like just like a sheer little mohair top that I can then wear this underneath. So that's the plan. So I've made the singlet top, so hopefully the ranunculus will get cast on in the not too distant future, because I think that would be a really cool little combo. I saw a few project pages with those kind of ideas for projects of like a solid singlet underneath a sheer top, and I just loved that look and wanted to make it. So slowly I'm getting there. And I've got a lot of socks to show you, and also quite a few baby knits. So we'll talk about the baby knits. I have a new niece who has arrived and another new niece on the way. And several of my colleagues are pregnant, and so I have been on a little bit of a baby knit kick. Also, I signed up for a test knit with Torrin for this beautiful hat, which is called the Curiosity hat, and I signed up to do a baby size because I knew I had babies on the way in my whānau. So here we go. This is the Curiosity hat by Torrin Knits. It's got this really cool slip stitch design. It's almost a bit like the muscle burra in the fact that it's a tube, and you do 2/3 of it in this slip moss stitch almost, 2-color way of knitting, and then you do the final third in your solid color, and this is the color that's in the background the whole way through. This is Flight Naturals by Skeins, and the variegated is a mini skein that I got in my Scrappy Advent this year, and I think it was from the Skein sisters, who were Australian hand dyer. I don't know what the colorway name was, but anyway, my sister, when I started knitting this, didn't know if she was having a boy or a girl, and so I thought that I would make it in a colorway that could be neutral. Could be either. So yeah, so this is really cool. It was really fun. I actually prefer it most with just the slip stitch hem, like the fold up being the design and the rest of it being plain, but you can wear it either way around. So if I was to make another one or an adult size one, I think I would actually reverse it and make 2/3 of it just in the plain color, because this is quite a bit more time consuming to knit. And then just do enough in the slip stitch design to do the fold up. But of course it is reversible, so you can then wear it this way. And then it's completely in the slip stitch design, which is cool. I just think it's more striking the other way around, personally. But yeah, so this is the baby size. It's not for a newborn, obviously. It's kind of like, I don't know, maybe 6 to 12 months size for a baby, I would think. Super duper warm, because it's got so many layers over the ears, but really, really cute. So I made that. I made, for my other niece, I did show this previously on the podcast that I was working on a little half fisherman's rib sweater for her. So I brought some beautiful pink yarn from Wild Earth Yarns. It's one of their recycled fibre blends, and I used that to knit the Rose Fisherman's sweater, which is a design by, is it Caroline from Yeah Yeah Yarn. Again, look at my Ravelry project page if you want all the details. And she, it's a fisherman's rib sweater. I knit it, it's actually written for more of a bulky weight yarn, but I knit it in the Wild Earth Yarns is classed as, they list it kind of as a DK. It's like 104 meters for 100 grams, but it's so lofty because it's woolen spun. You can honestly knit it to such a bigger gauge than that. So I used that yarn and made this very cute fisherman's rib sweater, which was inspired by a picture that my sister-in-law sent me and said, can you make something like this for our baby girl? So I made her that, and then I made a couple of just plain white ribbed hats and some plain white ribbed socks. And I did another test knit for a New Zealand designer, Donnybrook Designs, and that was for a little baby's top, almost a singlet vest situation, layering piece. It was called the Tangled Webs top, and has beautiful like little lace cap sleeves in like a singlet style. So I made that in white as well, so that she kind of had like this little whole matching set of white things, and then the pink sweater. So I'll put photos in of all those, because obviously they have been gifted. My little niece Ruby Ray, she turned up 4 weeks earlier than expected. So none of that stuff really fits her yet, except for one of the ribbed hats, which was I made smaller and really stretchy, so that hopefully it would fit for a long time. So that fits her, but everything else is still too big because she was tiny. But I'm sure she'll get some use out of it over the winter. And that's what I made for her. So that was all very fun. And then, like I said, I have some colleagues who are pregnant, and so I've been working on just a few little tiny baby gifts in the background. Where's the other one? I do have 2 of these. So I made this just little tiny baby hat. This is again in different colorway, but same yarn as I used for this one, Flight Naturals, which is a New Zealand merino, superwash merino. But undyed. So it's naturals because it is natural colors. So just a basic little rib cuff, stock and stitch baby hat. You can wear it with the rib down or up, depending on the size of your baby's head. So that's just a wee little gift knit that's just sitting there waiting for one of my colleagues to have their bubba. I made a pair, the other one's around somewhere, of tiny little socks. This is the pattern called Newborn Baby Socks, which is free on Ravelry, and it's a beautiful little pattern for teeny tiny newborn socks. These ones have kind of a faux cable. Can you see that? That's not very clear. And the pattern does use a, sorry, my nose is itching from the mohair, a heel flap and gusset heel. But I've become a complete convert to shadow wrap heels. So I subbed in a shadow wrap heel for this one. Super cute, aren't they? And I find in real life experience, these knitted socks stay on babies' feet a lot better than the traditional booties. So yeah, this is in a knit crate yarn that I had left over from one of the lentos that I made, and this is a cashmere merino sock yarn. So it's very soft and lush. And I've got one sock made out of a second pair. None of my colleagues are finding out the gender of their babies, so hence these are all a bit more neutral. I figured this is pretty enough for a girl, but neutral enough for a boy. I mean, and this colour goes with anything for anyone. And this one I couldn't resist because it was just such a pretty leftover that I had, and I was like, oh, I want to make some girly ones just in case somebody has a girl. So these might actually go to my new little niece, who will be arriving in late June or early July, if none of my colleagues have a baby girl. But this is some leftovers of a Mama Wooling skein of her plush sock. And again, you've got the little faux cables. These ones haven't been blocked so it's a bit more crunched up with shadow wrap heel. Cute, hey? So I've only made one of those. And once they're blocked, they do block out really beautiful. This one's just a bit manky because it's crunched up. I do find when knitting tiny little things like this, I like to do my socks magic loop. I don't think there's any other way, or I guess you could use DPNs, but I've never got the hang of DPNs. I like to use, where's my sock knitting bag? Chigoos. I always use Chigoo needles, but I love to use, oh, this is attached to another sock project, but just ignore that for a second. Here's one that's not in use. They're mini cables, so I don't know how well this is going to show up, but all of their smaller gauge needles come with the mini connector to the mini cable, and if you compare this, these ones are all mini. Where's a project that's not on a mini cable, guys? It is. I just find you don't get that jog line the same. You know how you can often get that laddering at the magic loop point, especially when you're trying to work in really small circumference. So this is the width of the normal Chigo red lace cable. And then this is the mini one. Can you see the difference? It's just half the thickness, really. It's so much slimmer. And it has this really small, this has a slightly larger needle on it because I have an adapter here. But just see how small this connection point is. Can you see that? And I just find for small circumference fingering weight knitting, these are so much better. Using the mini cable is so much better than using the thicker cable, the standard one. So that is my tip and trick there. You can just buy them from any Chigo stockist, but just watch out because if you do have the interchangeables like me, the small sizes of the needles often come, so like this pair, these are 2.25s, which is my standard sock knitting size. So this comes with the mini connection that connects straight onto the mini cable. So this needle tip wouldn't fit on a normal cable size anyway without an adapter. So some of them come with the mini size and some of them come with just the normal size, which connects straight onto the normal red lace cable. But you can get these adapters. Lots of screwing. These little adapters that do convert it into being able to fit onto the mini cable. So you can actually use any size Chigo. You can't use the big ones. The large ones, there's no adapter from large to mini, but there is from small to mini. And And don't get caught out and think the M is for medium and the S is for small. The S is for small, but the M is for mini. So that's a trick because that nearly caught me out. I brought some tips, 2.25 needle tips for knitting socks, and didn't realize that they come only fitting the mini cable. So then I had to make a separate order for the mini cable. But now I'm totally convert to mini cable. So I have quite a few cables in this mini size now, and I will use them for my baby knitting and for my sock knitting. And those particular ones are for DK socks, which is why they have a bigger needle on a smaller with the adapter, because I use those still for socks, but for when I'm knitting DK socks. Anyway, so that's the baby knits. Let's have a look down my list. Yeah, that's all of the baby knits, that's all of the shawls, that's all of the garments. So we've just got socks left to talk about. This year I have signed up to Mama Willing's Sock Club. She is doing a beautiful year-long sock club that you can sign up for either in 3, 6, or full year months. And it's, what's she calling it? Occasions, something in occasions. Anyway, so it's based kind of on stuff that goes on in that month traditionally, or colorways that are associated with those sort of months. So in January, we had Radiant Resolutions. I am trying to knit at least 2 pairs of socks from each sock set that comes. It's a sock set, so a full 100-gram skein and a mini skein. And I have quite a lot of her mini skeins in my stash anyway. So, and I've previously bought some of her like gnome mini skein kits. So I have quite a lot of mini skeins. So for some of these, I'm using more than one mini skein, and some I'm just using the one that came with it. This colorway is called Radiant Resolutions. This was January's colorway. Now these socks have already been being worn, so just saying they're not perfect. But here we go. That is the Radiant Resolutions, and this is the mini skein that came along with it. This is my first ever pair of skimmer socks. So these are a free pattern. It's a no-show sock pattern, and again, I subbed in a shadow wrap heel when it is written for a heel flip and gusset. So I'm still kind of working on the fit because I did some subbing, so it's not exactly as written. But here you'll see, isn't that pretty? Teal and pink with all these like highlighter lime green. So I made a pair of skimmer socks in January with those. I also made a pair of DK socks. So this is the same colorway, but held with a undyed mohair. So it's, you can see that it's a bit washed out. Does it even show? It does look different in real life. But again, I used the pink that came with it, and I also used this other darker teal for the accents in these. So this is a pair of DK socks. And I did start a pair of just fingering weight socks, but I never got them finished before February came along. So I have one done. Oh, it has a needle in it. Of these ones, and again, same with the main color, and I'm just striping, striping the 2 mini skeins through the foot. So I am, and then of course I've got carried away with doing the other months and knitting the other things in my life that aren't just socks. So because I originally thought, I know that there's enough yarn in a full skein and 2 mini skeins to knit 3 pairs of socks if I'm doing kind of like mid-length or shorty socks, which are my standards, or skimmer socks. I'm like, I could get a fingering weight, a skimmer sock, and a DK sock out of each skein. How that's making me feel better about how much I'm paying for this sock subscription. Like, let's get 3 pairs of socks out of each skein, which I could do, but I'd end up only ever knitting socks. So I'm taming that down a little bit. I've done 2 pairs in February, and I'm working still on my first pair for March, but there is enough yarn. But I also want to try and keep 20 grams, like a 20-gram mini skein from each month, to then do some kind of like project with something with a little bit from each month of the year at the end of the year. So I actually don't want to use the entirety. I hadn't thought of that when I started this. I will still have enough I still have quite a bit of gradient resolutions, and I've just got to stripe it throughout the foot now. I've done the majority of the knitting of it, so I will definitely still have 20 grams left. So that's cool. I'm knitting on that one. For February, the colourway was called Cupid's Arrow for Valentine's Day, obviously. So I've done 2 pairs of socks in February. I did these ones because I didn't finish my regular fingering weight socks in January. I figured, well, I'll start with those this month, and because they do take more time than skimmer socks or DK weight socks. But I thought I would do some little colourwork love hearts there. So obviously the red is the mini skein that came with it, and the pink variegated was the full skein. I've got a there. I'm loving doing this shadow wrap heel just in the main colour, because it's really nice not to have ends or holes to sort out when you change colours for a heel. So those are my February socks, and then I did a pair of skimmer socks as well. I did these ones slightly different from the ones before. You can read my notes on Ravelry. I used up the entirety of the mini skein now, so I only just had enough to kind of bind off and do part of the toe with these, because I didn't with the January ones. I obviously added in that other mini skein as well, but these I didn't. But you can see there you've got that beautiful. I'm not usually a red and pink together kind of girl. Usually I'm like, no, red and pink don't go together, but I mean, this is stunning, and this is so Valentine's-y. So those are those. And then March's colourway is here. And March's colourway is called Lucky Lass. Sorry, it is Lucky Lass. And it is not. Oh. Which, obviously, St. Patrick's Day is in March. So we have an Irish kind of theme. So we have this beautiful variegated greens, creams, a little bit of golden and yellows in there. Sorry, this cake is getting a bit ugly looking. And this is the mini skein that came with it. This beautiful, softly tonal deep green. And here is my first sock. I just cast this off today, so all the ends are not woven in yet. But essentially a vanilla sock. I did, by accident, on these ones, I made this pearl bump row at the end of the rib. I did twisted rib on these ones, and I actually really liked it, and I was like, that looks really cool. I quite like that. So on purpose I put that pearl bump row at the end of the rib on this one, though I didn't do twisted rib for this sock. Can you see that? And then I thought, I had a lot of debate with myself about what I wanted to do, because I felt like this colourway was a bit too busy to do a patterned sock, but I don't want all my socks to just turn out vanilla. And you know, I'd done colour work the month before, so I didn't really want to do colour work again. And I was doing stripes on the radiant one, so I was like, I don't really want to do stripes. But what I then decided to do was to use this pearl bump texture as a stripe with the mini skein. So to achieve that, I just knit 8 rows in the main colour, and then I did just 1 row plain in the in the contrast colour, and then I did a German short row and turned, and then just knit round again on the reverse side to create that pearl bump texture. So I did that for the leg, and then my shadow wrap heel, and then I decided that those bumps were going to feel really weird on the sole of my foot, and I wasn't going to like that. So on the sole of the foot, I just knit straight. So you've still got the 2-row stripe, but you don't have the pearl bump texture on the sole. You just have it on the front. And I just did that with a German short roll turn, and then just knit backwards and then knit front ways. I mean, you could just keep going normally and purl instead of knit, but why do that when you can just do it Sorry, microphone. German short row. Note to self, don't wear a microphone with a shawl. It doesn't really work. I really apologise if the sound on this video is dicey and crackly. I'm not even trying anything on. I'm not doing well. I'm out of practice. I'm really sorry. Hopefully this is still watchable. Anyway, those are my March socks. I'm just going to take this off because it's really starting to become a hassle. This is a mini mock neck, by the way. I just thought the colour went really well with the shawl. So yes, that's my March socks. One is done. The other is not yet started, but it will get done this month. And if I get time, I will either do... I don't mind doing the skimmer socks, but you do knit the majority of a skimmer sock flat. You start at the toe and you increase out to do the toe, and then when you get to here, you put the front stitches on hold and you knit the whole sole flat, which doesn't take long. And then you do your heel, and then you pick up. And you pick up and do your rib, which is all well and good. But my gauge is looser when I knit flat, and so my purl gauge is looser, so I do go down to just a 2mm needle for these rather than 2.25. And I don't enjoy it as much as in the round socks. So I think for my other St. Patrick's Day pair, I am going to just hold it with a mohair, a single strand of like natural mohair, like I did for these ones, and make another DK weight pair because it's autumn, we're getting into winter. I think it will look really nice paired with just that soft cream. And then I have if I don't have enough of the deep green left, I will add in just a cream mini skein to work with that, to do some wintry green socks. Yeah, so lots of sock knitting going on. I'm sure I'll get to the point where I have too many socks and I start gifting them, or a colourway comes along that I'm not enamoured with for myself personally, though I feel like you could wear any colour as socks. But yeah, and so I might start gifting some, but at the moment I am thoroughly enjoying knitting lots of socks and increasing my stash of hand knit socks. So yes, loving that, loving the Mama Wooling Sock Club, 100%, no regrets on that, absolutely loving it. It's so fun to get a parcel every month and not know what's coming, but knowing that I'll love it, because I love everything that Mama Wooling does. Yeah, so no, it's really cool. And I bet I just can't wait to see what each new month brings, because she does such beautiful, beautiful colorways. I'm really excited to see what April has, because April is Easter. So are we going to have like all those fun pastely pretty colors, or are we going to be doing like Easter is also autumn, so are we going to be getting autumnal colors? I am so intrigued to find out. So anyways, that is all my socks. So that is all my FOs. If that wasn't enough, 18 of them. There will not be this many every time I make an episode. I will try to come and podcast sooner than 3 months apart. I think it was before Christmas since I did an episode like this. So apologies for it being so many. But as you can see, there's lots of small items, and it has been about 3 months. I do still have some whips. I have finished a lot of them, frogged a couple, or just the framed sweater basically, and then finished the MCAL early. So now that all of that is done, I am currently in no test knits, which is wild, but also very freeing. So you saw this briefly when I pulled the needles out. This is my Lauder. This has been on the needles for a whole year. I cast this on the 9th of March last year. Today is the 13th of March. And this has been in the background for a whole year, just getting worked on in between me signing up for test knits and never getting finished. But I absolutely love it. So this is the Lauder by the Crayabaya. It's an all over cable knit jumper. It comes in options for crew neck and v-neck and cardigan and sweater and vest. I am making the v-neck sweater. You can see I am actually most of the way through the body. I have added about half of this length to the body since I finished all my test knits and have been working on this again. So I need to add about another 5 or 6 centimeters, and then I will add the ribbing. And the neckline still does need picking up, so it has this beautiful cabling detail around the neckline. But you do pick up and do a rib on the inside of that, and then sleeves. I am loving this. It is so fun. You only do a cable row every 4 rows. I have quite loose purl tension, and so I've always struggled with the idea of knitting a cable knit sweater because you always have those purl sections in between the cables, and for me they always look sloppy. I've never been able to make them look good. But with this sweater, there's only a single purl in between each cable. It's just like full-on cables alternating between the thicker and the thinner one. And that is why I decided to make this cable sweater, because it doesn't look sloppy because it doesn't have a lot of purl. So I'm really excited to wear this. It looks really cool on. And yeah, I'm just working away at it. I am using 2 yarns that I brought on cones from my friend Amy at Yarn on Cone. Well, I don't know her personally, but I brought lots of her yarn. They had 2 different blends. This one is kind of the more purpley tweedy situation. It's got lots of flecks in there, and then this one is more of a solid pale pink. And I am holding them together. You might be able to, the next ones I actually, I know you're not supposed to do this, but I caked it up. I caked it up holding them together because it was winding from 2 cones, so I figured that the tension was going to be relatively similar, and they're similar yarns. They're not a mohair and a merino that are going to sit together really differently. Anyway, we'll see how that works out, but I have some more wound up ready to go. These little yarn holders are actually just granny squares that I made once that I decided not to use for the project, and I literally just put some elastic in the top. I use them as little yarn cozies. Aren't they cute? It didn't work out for the project, but they work out as yarn cozies. Anywho, so that is the Lauder. That is my only sweater whip. No, that's a lie. That's my only sweater whip for myself currently, and I am enjoying working on that. It is quite big and heavy, so it is an at-home project. I have my socks that I'm taking to work for my lunch breaks, for when I'm around, when I've just got time to kill or wait. So they're kind of my handbag project. I've got a sock wherever I go because I've got a couple of pairs on the go. I also have my city dress. I have not been working on this because I've been working on the Lauder, but I'll quickly show you anyway because it did get a bit of work in between. When it was too hot to work on my woolly projects, I did work on this a bit because this is a 30% wool, 70% cotton yarn. And this is the City Dress by Torrin. It's going to be, it's a gradient. I'm using 2 gradient cakes. I'm holding it double. So you can see I'm on the darker blue on the outside, and it's transitioning lighter and lighter and lighter. And ideally this will be a below the knee, so maybe midi length dress. You can see that I have, I don't know, 15, 20 centimeters below the armhole. It has rib all across the side here. And all the finishing is actually complete at the top. There's heaps of ends, but there's no more finishing to do. You do that all as you go. Sorry, I'm holding it weird. So it's only sort of down to here at this point, but it just needs a lot more knitting. It has some increases that come in through the hips, because obviously hips are wider than torsos, and yeah, you can very sort of slightly see that it has started fading lighter. So yeah, that is in the background. I don't know. I probably aren't going to prioritize this because it is a more of a summery knit and we are heading into autumn now. I've missed the boat on getting this done for summer because I was trying to get the shawl done. I was trying to get my test knits done. That Torrin shawl took way longer than it should have because I needed to restart it several times to get the pattern right. I knit the sweater for my sister and all the baby knits. I just keep getting distracted on other things. So I've kind of missed the boat on summer for this one. So I might put it in hibernation and bring it back out near the end of the year. Or it might just tick away in the background when I feel like I need some just straight stock and stitch in the round, because that's basically what it is, with a tiny bit of rib under the arms. It's just a knit. I'm really excited to see how it comes together with the gradient cake. I actually have another couple of gradient cake sets which I would like to do similar projects with, but I liked the blue the best, so I'm going to see how that one goes first. I have another one that's kind of like plummy purple colours fading through to like pale pinky, similar to this but a bit deeper, and that's in 100% cotton. And I have another one that it's not woolly wool, it's sheepies, by the way. It's another gradient cake, but it's like coral and black. Yeah, so that one would be quite cool. So I might make more city dresses with them in the future if this one turns out good. Yeah, just working away on that in the background. It hasn't had a lot of love, but I thought I'd show it to you anyway. In this beautiful project bag, my mama wooling. She hasn't made these in a while. Had any project bags for sale, but I did actually get this one in the same D-stash that I bought this yarn, and I couldn't say no because she was selling it for $20, and I know the one that I brought myself, which is this one, was more like $60 because they're beautifully crafted, really quality handmade. And she doesn't do them often, so I was like, yes, I'm having that. Yes, please. Has been a nice project to work on when it's been really hot and you just don't want to work on woolly wool, but because it has 30% wool content and 70% cotton, it doesn't feel too cottony in your hands, but it doesn't feel hot like wool does. Like I couldn't really work on that cabled sweater. It's just too hot when we were having the heat of summer. What is the time? Oh yeah, I'm running out of time. I better start wrapping up. What else do I have in terms of whips? I still haven't finished the last sleeve on my kip sweater, which has probably been waiting for nearly a year now to be finished. It's not cold yet. It's not sweater weather yet. When it's sweater weather, because that's a real woolly wool, that's Southlander by, or Highland Heathers, which is the same base as Southlander by Skeins. When it gets cold, I will work on that. So when I want to actually wear the sweater. Also, it's not going to fit me well anymore because I made a smaller size than I am now. I am attempting to get back to that smaller size, but at the moment, it wouldn't fit well. It would be too small. So there's no priority in there. So it's kind of in hibernation. I'm ignoring the fact that that's a whip at the moment. And Lauder, March socks, Jan socks, city dress. The Stella quilt blanket is still happening. I haven't worked on that in ages, so I haven't pulled it out to show you today. I would love to bring that back into rotation again once weather's cooled down a little bit more. Now that I've got the shawl off my needles, I'd like to make some progress on that sweater, and then I might pull out the blanket and start working on that a bit again as well. But the other thing that I did cast on, this was a spontaneous cast on when I was sick of all my projects that I had and I didn't want to work on any of them, and I was having a really bad day and I just needed some dopamine. A dopamine cast on, just something fun and frivolous. I got this gradient rainbow fluff situation. It was just a cheapie, got it in a bulk pack, but my daughter loved it, though I think she's going to find it itchy, but she thought it was really beautiful, and so I am knitting her a bean and olive sweater in it. So I've done that first zigzag, and I'm halfway through the hearts, and then there is supposed to be another zigzag afterwards. And I'm just letting it fade through the gradient. So I'm into purple, it's going to pink next, and then we'll head into these peachy tones. I am holding it with, you can see here I got a giant, it's in my knitting box. This blanket box here is where I keep all my knitting supplies and projects. Not my yarns, just the projects and stuff. I have this gigantic cone of fingering weight New Zealand Merino that I got from the wool yarn sale this year, and this is my acquisition, I'm not showing you that yet. I am holding that with the rainbow gradient to get a DK weight. So it just softens it a little bit, but yeah, to be honest, this doesn't feel that nice in the hand and it is a bit itchy. So I wanted to hold it with some merino. And then the contrast colour, Rhea picked that. Rhea's my almost 7-year-old daughter. She's 7 on Sunday. This was going to be for her birthday, but I have not worked on it enough to get it done in 2 days. So that's not going to happen. It's this here. This is a Skeins yarn. It was a limited edition one that they did. She liked this colour. We originally tried it. Oh, I have it here. I didn't completely undo it. With just the cream and the colour work, it is there, but it just didn't show enough. There was just not enough colour depth difference. And although this was way prettier and softer, it just wasn't worth doing colour work. I would just needed to knit it straight with no colour work if we were going to do it in that colourway. So we traded. She wanted the colour work, so we traded it up for this more dramatic tealy colour. So I think that's going to look really cute once it's done. I will get back to it. It was kind of like I said, just like in a dopamine cast on. I worked on it over a couple of evenings. Well, I did this on one evening and then realised I'm going to have to scrap it. And so then the next evening I started again. And then I wanted to finish my own whips. I had to focus on finishing this, the Torrin shawl. And then I wanted to get the MCAL done, so I haven't really worked on it in a couple. I worked on it obsessively for 3 days and then put it down. But I will get back in that because she will like it. And I brought her a cotton turtleneck that she can wear under it, so long sleeves and a high neck so that it's not itchy on her skin. So she will actually wear it. So it'll be for the cold winter. So there's not a rush. It's too hot to wear it still at the moment. So that's my only other real whip. Working on that. Plans for when some of these are finished. I'm not casting on anything else new yet. I want to get the Lauder finished and Rhea's jumper. Those are the 2 things that I would like to prioritise and get done. The socks will just keep going as my here, there and everywhere project all the time. I'm not really prioritising finishing them. I'm just making sure that I get at least 1 pair done in each colourway each month. And yeah, so Lauder is kind of my main project, and then Rhea's jumper. But what I would like to cast on next is there is a gnome mystery make along coming in April. And I'm going to do that with my friend Helen, which I'm really looking forward to. And we're both going to knit up mystery gnomes. I haven't picked colours for that yet. I'm kind of waiting to see a little bit more detail when it comes out. But I have purchased the pattern, and I'm excited. I'm excited to do that. And I actually have a mini skein set coming with my sock set from Mama Wooling for April, so I may choose to use that for my gnome. And in terms of garments, the next 2 things I want to cast on when I get a chance, when I've cleared Lauder and Rhea's sweater, is the Staffin sweater by the Crayabaya. I have some beautiful, some more of that recycled yarn from Wild Earth Yarns in a sage green colourway, which I absolutely love. And I want to make a Staffin in that, the sweater. And I want to make the Midland cardigan by Laura Penrose. And I have decided, I talked about this in my 2025 plans. I had 3 colourway options. I had a deep, deep teal, a hot pink, and like a magenta-y pink, and like a natural possum base yarn. And I'm going to do the pink because the pink sings to me. The pink is like, yeah, I want a statement cardigan in hot pink. It's a little bit more muted than this. It's a bit more magenta-y. It's kind of in between these two. I don't have it with me. It's pink. Go and watch my 2025 plans episode and you'll see. I talk about it there. So those are the two things that I want to cast on when something else is off my needles. I'm still trying to clear the needles, yeah. Just a bit more. Because too many projects feel stressful and it feels like they're taking up too much time and space in my brain. And I have no test knits. And I'm trying to try. I'm not going to not sign up for test knits. I'm not going to not put my name forward, but I'm going to try not to have more than one going at a time so that I can actually knit the other things I want to knit. Because in the last year, I didn't get to knit. I've had one sweater on my needles for over a year because I just can't get to it because I kept signing up for new test knits. And they do bring me beautiful opportunities that I wouldn't necessarily otherwise take. But also, I have a long list of things I want to knit with yarn that I already own. So I need to get to that. Yeah. That's pretty much all I've got to say. This was I did flash this before. This was also a beautiful, Marina from Strawberry Patches Yarn is doing a sock club this year, called the Mermaid Treasures Yarn Club. She's doing a monthly colorway, and this was March's colorway. Flippin' fabulous. And it's all like mermaid themed, and it was just so pretty I couldn't resist. So this is her sock base. It's 80% superwash merino and 20% nylon. And it's got a mini skein there. And it's really beautiful. Came with this stunning little turtle stitch marker. Look at that. Pretty, eh? Yes, her inspiration picks were just to die for, so I had to get it. So this will become, I noticed Amy Loudon from And Other Knits is working on a blanket pattern that's similar to the Stella quilt blanket. It's like quilt squares, but they're tiny. Each square is about this big. So it's all really tiny and little and pretty, and she's doing hers in like this glorious fade of like pastel speckle heaven. And I thought if I get a few more of this sock club throughout the year, maybe I could use them to make that blanket. Because that would be beautiful and pretty. Because I'm not really sure, other than putting it into socks, which I'm going to have a lot of socks going as it is. I'm not sure what else I would use this for, but it is just so pretty. So yeah, that's something I'm toying with. We'll see if I continue to purchase this. With the Mama Woolings one, I signed up and paid for 3 months at a time, but I will continue to do that for the whole year. Marina is letting me go month by month with this one, whether or not I have the spare money to do it. So that's very generous of her. You can also sign up for a subscription to it for the year, and you'll just get charged monthly. But yeah, absolutely beautiful. She does some really gorgeous subscription boxes, Marina from Strawberry Patches, so check her out. If you are in the market for some beautiful New Zealand hand-dyed yarn. That is it for now. Let's leave it there. 1 hour and 13 minutes. So much for being short. Thank you for joining me to talk about all the things that I've been knitting. If you have any questions about any of my projects, firstly hit up my Ravelry project pages. I put pretty much all of my details there. But if you have a question that I didn't address there, or just any comment you would like to make, please feel free to comment below. I love interacting with you here in this space. So feel free to, reach out. You can find me online. I'm on Instagram as Rebecca Ann Knits, and here on YouTube, obviously Rebecca Ann Knits, and same on Ravelry. Same name everywhere, Rebecca Ann Knits. So yeah, look me up if you'd like. Reach out. Feel free to message me. Feel free to chat in the comments below. Yeah, it's been great. Thank you for joining me, and hopefully I will be back sometime not too far from now to share with you my April colourway from Mama Wooling and whatever else I get finished knitting between now and then. So happy knitting, everyone. Ka kite e no, and I'll see you next time, whenever that is.